Hey everybody, I don't know if you're back. I'm trying to get back. I'm trying to get this working. It doesn't seem to be working. There it is working. All right. All right. So I'm back and I'm going to be spinning this wheel. I know a lot of you are watching and I'm just waiting to see if you're going to return. I did get, it seems like I got everything working now. I don't know what's up with this software. Hey, Rafael, hey, glad you came back. I'm glad you're back here. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and start spinning this wheel again. Again, I do apologize for the for the technical errors that were happening. The technical errors. I do apologize for those. But we're gonna go ahead and give it a spin. Let's give this a spin and see what happens here. Oh, we just did him yesterday, so we're gonna spin it again. Let's see, because there's so many other idiots on this wheel that we can look at. Let's give it one more spin here. All right, I'm starting to doubt this wheel here. I was starting to doubt this wheel. Let's just remove him and give it another spin. Hey, it's our good friend Sri Dayananda Swami, or as he likes to call himself, HD Goswami. Um, yeah, I hope everything's working here. I'm seeing some problems with my internet. I do apologize. I'm actually in the jungle somewhere. I'm in hiding. I'm in hiding in the jungle. Um, uh, yeah. If you would apply all or most of the following, this wheel it'll only hold so many, and I know I need to change it up. If anyone wants to like send in their suggestions, I'll put names as you suggest them. I can add it, and that way the wheel will just be names that everybody wants on there, and then we can do it that way. Um, I think that's the best thing. So if you want to see a name on this wheel, you just go ahead and just let me know, and I'll put the name on there. Hey, Eliana, how you doing? Uh, there are more monsters to add. Yeah, like I said, we're gonna just you send in the names, and I will put and I will and I will put the names on the wheel, so we can do that. Um, so let's take a look at Hridayananda. In fact, I think I got him right here somewhere. Let me see. Let me see where he is. Yeah, here he is. I love uh, reacting to his videos.
And of course, most of these verses are found in chapter 10, and there's a sample here also in chapter 7. So, what does it mean when Krishna says, I am these things? Someone read my book? Yeah, I was going to explain that. That's a rhetorical question. No, that's all right. But I'm glad to see someone's paying attention. So, did you see my book, the Gita Guide? I have a whole section on that. In chapter 7 and in chapter 10, when Krishna identifies himself with so many features of this world and a few spiritual things like Omkara, Krishna says that, whoops, I don't want to kick the water over. Krishna says, these are my vibhutis. And he frames these verses in the sense that uh, Krishna or Arjuna says to Krishna, please tell me about your vibhutis. And then Krishna says, okay, I'll tell you about my vibhutis. And then after he's finished, he says, well, I just told you about my vibhutis. So therefore, an example of this, of course, is the very famous end of chapter 10, where Krishna says, Jad Jad Vibhuti Mat Sattvam. Any existence, any sattva, which is Vibhuti Mat, which possesses Vibhuti. Jad Jad Vibhuti Mat Sattvam Simad, which is glorious or beautiful. Srimad Urjitam, powerful Evacha, Tatareva. In Sanskrit, Tatareva.
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
We would say in English, in each and every.
Okay, so this guy's just blathering on and on about, I don't know, he went into that whole thing about the vibhutis, and you know, in chapter whatever, Krishna, they ask him, you know, tell me about your vibhutis, and then he explains his vibhutis, and then Krishna says, now I just told you about my vibhutis. It's like, well, what was that all about, dude? It's like he's just talking. He's just talking to talk, just to like mesmerize and just bullshit people. I don't know what that was all about. And he's just going on and on. And this dude is such a non-scholar. He is, and look at him sitting there, trying to look like, you know, Poindexter, like a fat Poindexter. He's gonna sit there, and the funniest thing, he just had Darjana Krishna last night to give him that nonsensical talk. Krishna telling him about the booties. Yeah, that's what he's really thinking about. He's thinking about all the booties that he gets to see in the girls in their bikinis. Back on my favorite class with my favorite people. Yeah. Hey, Liam, it's great to see you. Great to be back, man. So the funniest thing about this guy, the biggest thing that makes him such an idiot, is he went to Harvard. This guy went to Harvard, so he wants you to believe. He wants you to believe that you can go to Harvard, get a Harvard education, go to like one of the most prestigious universities in the world. Definitely in the country, in the United States, if not, you know, one of the most prestigious universities in the world. And he's going to get a degree in religious studies or religious sciences or whatever he's got his degrees in, or his doctorate or whatever. He's a doctor, Dr. Goswami, whatever the fuck he thinks he is. And he wants you to think that he's so smart and everything. And then he's going to sit there and tell you that he believes that this book was written 5,000 years ago, and the guy that wrote it is living in the Himalayas, and he's 5,000 years old, or, you know, he lives eternally in the mountains, this Vyasadeva. He wants you to believe that there really was some man named Vyasadeva, and he's still living up in it, and that Lord Shiva lives on Mount Kailash, or you know, Lord Chaitanya just like walked into a statue, and that this Sakshi Gopal deity walked from wherever, from Vrindavan to Puri or wherever it walked to, and he wants you to believe this stuff. That he wants you to believe that he believes this stuff. That he believes it. That he believes the bullshit that he's saying. After going to Harvard University and getting a degree in learning, and he's supposed to be like some scholar, some educated scholar guy that can translate Sanskrit. Okay, you can translate Sanskrit. Good for you. Does that make you like? I don't know what that makes you. It doesn't make you shit to me, because you're in a fucking pedophile cult, and you know that these guys are pedophiles, and you know what they've done, and you know what's in these books, and you've translated these books, and you know what Krishna says in these books, and you know what Prabhupada says in these books. You were there when Prabhupada was walking around calling black people vicious animals. You were in the room when Prabhupada was talking about Martin Luther King and all of these things that we're talking about. You were right there, dude. You were right there in the room with him. You heard even more shit. You heard shit that wasn't recorded, that we don't even know what he said. Writing letters, Prabhupada's writing letters to Satsvarup, telling Satsvarup, this is not stuff that we should be telling the public. My thoughts and views on Africans and Negroes is not something that we should be broadcasting to the world. Well, why not? If you're the pure devotee and you speak truth and you speak this and you speak that, why do we have to keep this shit quiet? Why are you saying shit about black people that you don't want people to know? Why are you saying that women are less intelligent, have small brains? You want me to believe that Krishna says that women are less intelligent and have small brains? And 9 times lustier than men, and black people belong in the jungle and are ugly, and all of this? You want me to believe that? This guy wants me to believe that? This guy that went to Harvard? This guy went to Harvard, and he's that dumb? He come out of Harvard that dumb? How you come out of Harvard dumber than you go in? How do you spend all that money to go to Harvard and come out stupider than when you went in? I mean, I got more sense than he does, and I didn't go to Harvard, and I didn't spend fucking $100,000 to get a fucking doctorate degree from Harvard, and I already know there ain't no spaceman floating between planets playing a friggin' guitar. I don't need to go to Harvard to figure that out. This guy can't figure it out though. He gonna go to Harvard, get a friggin' degree, and he don't know shit. He thinks there's a spaceman floating between the planets. He thinks there's an eagle. He thinks there's a type of eagle that can fly between planets. It just goes like a space shuttle and flies between planets. That's what this guy believes. This guy believes the sun is closer to the guy believes that the sun is closer to the earth than the moon because Sunday comes before Monday. I can't believe the stupidity of that. Prabhupada said, all these things they said, all these times that they go, well, Prabhupada said this, and Prabhupada said that, and Prabhupada said that there's a friggin' bird that can fly between the planets. Prabhupada said we didn't go to the moon because Sunday comes before Monday. That's the type of shit that Prabhupada said. And you want me to believe that? You want me to believe this guy? You want me to believe what this guy says? The guy goes to Harvard, comes out dumber than you went in. Comes out dumber. He's dumber because he came out a little bit less money. But of course he didn't spend it because this fucking guy's rich. He's got all kinds of money. Plus he's got all kinds of stupid disciples that send him money. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine your guru lives in Beverly Hills in a fancy house in Beverly Hills and that he inherited from his rich family or wherever he got that, inherited his house, and he's living in this fancy house in Beverly Hills, got all this money, and he's living off his disciples sending him donations, out selling books for him, inviting him to their house so they can put flowers around his neck and he can bless them with his stupidity and his bullshit and his double talk and his emperor's new clothes. The fuck is he gonna teach somebody? How to hate people? How to hate karmis? Karmis are demons. Karmis are meat eaters and sense enjoyers, and you can't practice this religion if you want to and be around your family. He's preaching all the same shit. Same brainwashing shit that they gave that girl that made her want to run away from her family. If they hadn't told her that her family was demons and she couldn't practice the religion, let's say she wouldn't have ran away. She didn't want to run away from her parents. She was just looking at different religions. All of a sudden, excuse me, all of a sudden, She runs across a religion that tells her that she needs to run away from her parents. And they talk her into it. He's doing the same thing. He's preaching the same shit. The same dangerous pedophile, Ramananda Roy, touching little girls. Of all the people that Lord Chaitanya could have shown his form to, he chose Ramananda Roy. Not Haridas Thakur. Not Rupa Goswami. Not Advaita Acharya. No. Ramananda Roy. The guy that touches the little girls. That's the guy who gets to see Lord Chaitanya's form. Six-armed form. Ramananda Roy. Because he could control his mind while touching these little girls. That's his claim to fame. That's his claim to fame. Is he could bathe and dance and touch these little naked girls. Their entire bodies. And so when Lord Chaitanya has to decide who he's going to show his six-armed form, Sadbhuj form to, Ramananda Roy. This guy knows all this shit that's in the books. He knows all this shit that Prabhupada said. He was right there. And he went to Harvard. Hey, the fucking guy went to Harvard. These guys are just... I'm glad you're enjoying it. I know. This guy, man. The worst sins to pose as a guru, they're going to hell if there is such a thing. You know, Jeff, I'm glad you're here, and you bring up a good point. For someone to sit there on that seat with the flowers around their neck and act like they're like, I've got something to teach you, and they know that they're just bullshitting their way through, and they ain't no friggin'... He went to Harvard. He went to Harvard and sat in classrooms with instructors, and what did he do? He had to pretend that he didn't believe this shit so he could pass his classes. He had to, I mean, I don't know, how do you... He's sitting there and they're instructing him and teaching him stuff, and he's like, oh, they're full of shit. Krishna is Supreme God. And how did he... It just blows my mind. This guy can go to Harvard and get a degree in I don't know what the fuck he got a degree in, because he's dumber than a stump. And then he's gonna sit there and then pretend like he's the smart... I'm the smart guru. I'm the brainiac guru. I'm the guru that went to Harvard. You know, you can have these other gurus. You know, ISKCON's got a lot of gurus, but hey, I'm the smart guru. I went to Harvard. I got a degree in this shit. I know what I'm talking about. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You really want me to believe that you think that the sun is closer to the earth than the moon because Sunday comes before Monday? You really want me to believe that? This guy really wants us to believe that he thinks the sun is closer to the earth than the moon because Prabhupada said so. He ain't got a shred of evidence. There's all the evidence against that says that ain't right. There ain't nothing. He can't produce one scientific... If he was in Harvard and they said, all right, Howard Resnick, I want you to write a paper on why you think the sun is closer to the earth than the moon. That's going to be your term paper. You want to get your doctorate degree? You got to write a paper. You got to write a 17,000 page word, whatever, dissertation, master thesis on why the sun is closer, why you think the sun is closer to the earth than the moon. And he's going to write a paper on that? And he's going to explain in 17,000 words or whatever that because Sunday comes before Monday? I mean, he can make up a bunch of shit if he wants to. But his guru said that the reason that we didn't go to the moon and the reason that that we can't go to the moon is because the sun is closer than the moon. That the sun comes first. It's Sunday and then Monday. And you're going to tell me that a guy that graduated Harvard and has a doctorate degree in whatever believes that the sun is closer to the earth than the moon? You got to... There's no way. There's just no way. You don't go to Harvard and get a degree, get a doctorate degree, and I don't care what, gardening, I don't care what you get a degree in. You go to Harvard. You ain't going to come out of there believing that the sun is closer than the moon unless you're a fucking idiot. You got to be a goddamn idiot. You got to be a goddamn idiot. He got in trouble with the GBC for blessing a same-sex marriage and had to say sorry. What a dude said. Said about the pedos and abuse. He knows about all of it. He was there. He's one of the 11. He was all in on it. He knew what was going on with Kirtanananda. He was there with Salochan. He's been there the whole time. The whole time. He knows everything. He knows everything. He went to Harvard. Guy went to Harvard. He's gonna sit there and go, I don't know anything about. I don't know what you're talking about. What the fuck? Are you like the dumbest guy that's ever gone to Harvard? How do you go to Harvard and get a doctorate or a master's or doctorate or whatever he's got? How do you go to Harvard and claim to be the smartest guru on the planet? You know, how do you and then you can sit there and claim like, oh, I don't know about the gurus. I don't know about the children being molested, and I don't know about the sun being closer to the earth, and I don't know. I don't know what. Oh, Prabhupada said that the Jews were the problem in World War II. Oh, he liked Hitler. I never heard of. How do you not know that shit? How do you not know what your guru said? How are you gonna sit there on that seat and act like you don't know all the racist, sexist crap? He doesn't care. He believes it. He doesn't believe. Look, how does he sit there? He knows that the sun is not closer to the earth than the moon. He went to Harvard. He knows that women don't have small brains. He knows that women are not less intelligent. He probably had some female professors that were teaching him shit. Oh, he's gonna sit there and he's cosplaying as a fucking fake guru so he can make a living at scamming people. He's just making a living scamming people. He's already fucking got loaded with cash. He just wants to sit there and have people wash his feet. Call him Guru Dev and Maharaj. It's fucking disgusting. People fucking make me sick. And then he wants to sit there and play guru and act like a holy man and fill these people's heads with all this crap. That's going to do nothing. At best, it's going to chew them up and spit them out like that girl. Like even if you're not abused, you're still abused. Even if you're not sexually abused or physically abused, you're mentally abused and emotionally abused. Unless you're sitting up at the top like this guy raking in cash, you're fucking miserable. Unless you're the guy wearing the wetsuit swimming down the river, you're fucking miserable in this cult. She didn't want to go out and sell those books. She even said, I'm only doing it because like, my guru wants me to. And she did not look happy. And it's not happy. She wasn't happy. That's why she got out. You're like, fuck this. They say that the guru's cook and the servant always fall down because they see the guru doing ordinary human things. Bunch of scammers. Yeah, well, Rafal can talk about that because he worked with Indra Yumna Swami, and I was working with Yashodanandan. He was an ex-Swami, whatever the fuck that means, an ex-Swami. But I got to know like his daily routine. He had a job. He worked a job. He had a wife. He moved into his wife's house. He coached hockey at he was like a boys ice hockey coach. Couple nights a week, he'd go do that. Do other non-devotional things, which it like for us non-devotees, it's not a big deal. Like, but for them, that's a big deal. And for an ex-Swami, for a guy who was a Swami and right there with Prabhupada, he had his stick and he was doing all this stuff and he was going around and donations. He knows all this Sanskrit. He thinks of himself as like this, like a Hridayananda type guy, and yet I got to see him just being an ordinary guy. I went into his house. I'm not trying to, but his house, it was like an ordinary person's house. You would think that a Swami's house would be like this impeccable. No, it was just an ordinary house. Right? There's dirty dishes in the sink. There was laundry that needed to be done. It was just an ordinary house. But when you see these guys and you think, oh, he's a holy man. He's a Swami. He's a holy man. He lectures and sits and he wears tilak. He does fire sacrifice and they do all this stuff. They're cosplaying. It's cosplay. They're cosplaying. He's cosplaying as some holy man. Lame, yeah, heard that, by the way. Yeah, Raphael, he knows. He was a servant. He saw firsthand this crap. Yep, yeah, exactly. I mean, and Dahlia Roberts, hey, hello, how you doing? Glad you're here. Glad that you're here. Yeah, Raphael's great. Raphael sends me links and videos. He's on the ball. Maybe some people believe Prabhupada, dude, over the goddamn government, dude. Yeah, if you're an idiot, if you're just a full-on idiot, then you're gonna believe Prabhupada. You're gonna believe that black people are ugly and belong in the jungles, and you're gonna believe when Prabhupada says that black people are vicious animals in Detroit and we don't want anything to do with the vicious ones. And you're going to believe, if you're a real fucking idiot, you're going to believe when Prabhupada says that black people should never have been given freedom and that civil rights was a mistake and that white people hate black people and they should because black people are dangerous and they're just rapists in Central Park. They just rape and terrorize people. And that we should believe Prabhupada when Prabhupada says that he doesn't want anything to do with the vicious black people, but he'll take the good ones. The good ones he'll take and he'll use them. They can go sell books for him. I believe Prabhupada when he says that he wants the good black people and he doesn't want the bad black people. And he wants them to sell books. I believe Prabhupada when he says that. And I believe Prabhupada when he says that he thinks that the Jews were the problem in World War II. I believe Prabhupada when he says, I believe Prabhupada that's what Prabhupada believes. I believe that Prabhupada thinks that Hitler was a good man because Prabhupada said it. Do I believe do I believe Hitler was a good man? No, I don't believe Hitler was a good man. But Prabhupada believes Hitler was a good man. And Prabhupada denied the Holocaust. Do I deny the Holocaust? No, I don't deny the Holocaust. So I don't believe Prabhupada when he says that Hitler didn't kill millions of Jews in concentration camps. I don't believe Prabhupada when he says that. Now, an idiot might believe that. Maybe this idiot sitting here believes it, but I don't believe it. And this idiot here might believe it when Prabhupada says that the sun is closer to the earth than the moon. And maybe you might believe it because you're an idiot, but I don't believe that. Just because Prabhupada said something, you want to believe it? How fucking stupid is that? Trying to get back and share stories while in this cult. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I don't know why anyone would believe Prabhupada or believe any of these pedophiles. Why would I believe a man that had sex with an 11-year-old girl when he was 22? And then he says, I didn't even love her. And he says, oh, women are stupid and like to be raped, and they have small brains, and they're 9 times lustier than men. I'm going to believe Prabhupada when he says that? No, I'm not a fucking idiot. But if you're a fucking idiot, maybe you want to believe that. And that's why you're a fucking idiot. Because people who believe that shit are called fucking idiots. Like this guy. And all you fucking ISKCON pedophiles. You're all fucking ISKCON fucking pedophiles and fucking idiots. Every one of you, you're a fucking idiot. Believe this shit. You're so fucking brainwashed that you can even go to Harvard and you still can't learn a fucking thing. That's how fucking stupid and brainwashed you are. Fucking A, man. You believe this shit? That's why it's called brainwashing. And that's why it's called deprogramming. Because these people are fucking gone in the head. They're gone in the head. The guy says maybe we should believe Prabhupada when he says the sun is closer to the earth because Sunday comes before Monday. Like that's a reason to believe him. No, let's not believe science. Let's not believe science. The same science that gives us this technology that I can sit halfway around the world and stream a live video right into your home on your computer or your phone 30,000 miles away or however many miles away, instantly do this because of science. Digital wires and digital cameras and digital audio and LED lights and green screens and fake brick walls and all this technology. But no, we're going to believe this old Indian guy who grew up in a friggin' fucking hut in Calcutta, doesn't know, went to a school in India in 1910. 1910. And you want to believe this guy like he's some holy man while he's in the back room doing snuff. These people are fucking nuts. They're fucking nuts. I never knew Prabhupada married an 11-year-old girl until I watched your show, Mike. They hide this info real well because I never knew this. Well, it's in the database, and I know you never knew this, but it's easy to find. It's so easy to find, and you can even listen to the recording. They put it right on their webpage because they don't care. They don't care. They absolutely don't care. They put it on their webpage. You can click on it and you can listen to it. You can listen to them say all of these things. They're proud of it. They don't care. It's amazing. It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me that it's all there for everyone to listen. Everybody can read it. They can read about the sexism. They can read about the racism. They can read what he says about Jews. They can read what he says about Hitler. They can read what he says about women. They can read all of this stuff. They can look up the history of the child abuse, of the gurus falling down. You can look up all of this stuff. You can look up all of this stuff, and they don't care. Nobody, they don't care. These people can still march right down Venice Beach with their chariots. They can hold a big parade down Fifth Avenue. They can hold a big parade in friggin' Piccadilly Circus. They can march down the beachfront in Rio de Janeiro or wherever they are. They can march down the middle of Barcelona, the main street with their chariots, and march around Rome and all of these places. Like they're the Pope. Like they're putting on some popes come into town. Why do they get away with that shit? With all the shit that we know about this cult and all the shit that's in their books that they distribute on the streets every day. They're out there begging for people to take these books full of this crap, this sexism, this rape, this women like to be raped. Right in the friggin' Bhagavatam. Little girls must be married to old grown men. Women have small brains. Negroes belong in the jungles. This is all right in their books. Right? All right in their books. And this guy knows it. This guy knows. It's not like he doesn't know. I know. He knows. This fucker went to Harvard. I didn't go to Harvard. How does he know? I don't know. How do I know he don't know? Okay, what is he saying here? Wait, let me see. Fake human. Rocket science. What do you think about the big Ram statue erected in the USA? It had nothing to do with Prabhupada. I don't care. If it was a Prabhupada statue, I'd have a problem with that. Ram, I don't care. What does that have to do with Prabhupada and his friggin' cult? You want to confuse Ram and Krishna with Prabhupada's pedophile cult. Prabhupada created this pedophile cult and he just glommed on to his own religion. That's all he knew. He didn't want to become the Pope because he wasn't Catholic. He didn't want to become a rabbi. He didn't want to become the head rabbi of the world because he's not Jewish. He didn't want to become the head Ayatollah or the head whatever because he's not a Muslim. No, he wanted to be the head guru because he's a Hindu. But other than that, it ain't got nothing to do. He's just a crazy fucking pedophile cult, megalomaniac, crazy, dangerous cult leader. Like the Unabomber, or David Koresh, or Charlie Manson, or friggin' L. Ron Hubbard. They ain't no different than them. What does that have to do with Ram or Krishna? You guys are getting it twisted up. You guys getting it twisted up. You think attacking Prabhupada and his pedophile cult is an attack on Indian culture or Indian whatever, and it's not. You guys shouldn't want to have anything to do with this pedophile. And if you do, then you got a problem. Have been indoctrinated into some kind of rape culture, and you identify that your culture with this rape culture, and I don't know why you're doing that. You come in here and you're asking me about stuff about God and Krishna and Rama and things that have nothing to do with Prabhupada and his pedophile cult. Would love to see a medical book recommending snuff as a treatment. Yeah, when I heard that, who erected the big Ram statue? ISKCON? Yeah, I don't know. Hindus erected the statue. Okay, that's good. No problem. Yeah, this is not an anti-Hindu. I'm not anti-Hindu. I've said this many times. You can go back and watch many of my videos. I'm not anti-Hindu. I have Hindu friends in India that I go visit. In Vrindavan. So it's not like I don't know what I'm talking about. It's not like I'm against Hinduism. I'm against rape culture. If you grow up in India and you believe in these pedophiles, then you're part of the rape culture that really needs to be eliminated in India, where women can't even get on a bus in Delhi without the fear of being gang raped. Girls being raped in their village and then their families killing the girls because they feel like they've been ashamed. These are victims. The girls got raped. She's a victim. She got raped. But no, the father's like, oh, you have shamed my family forever for many generations now. My family is now shamed. I must kill you. And you want me to think that you respect women or children when you are supportive of that kind of culture? That's crazy. You gotta be out of your mind if you support that. If you Prabhupada, dictator dictating his books high as up. What a joke. Absolutely, man. When I heard he was doing snuff, man, I was in for 4 years. I'd already been in for 4 years. And I was just like, wait a minute. Oh, medical. He did it for medical reasons. And I knew that wasn't it. But I chucked it to the back of my head because but I always knew it was there. Even though you put stuff in the back of your mind and you try to forget, you're going to think about it. You know it's there. It's like trying to hide something from yourself. Oh, I'm going to hide this from myself, but you hid it. You know where it is. So you put Prabhupada had sex with an 11-year-old girl or Prabhupada was whatever, and you put it in the back of your head. No, the snuff. I was like, come on, Prabhupada doing snuff. Why is Prabhupada doing snuff? I don't understand. Oh, it was medical. Medical? I never heard of snuff being prescribed as medicine. And where was he getting the snuff? And who was getting the snuff for him? And how come nobody knew about him doing snuff? If he was doing it for medical reasons, then how come we didn't know? How come we didn't know about it? Yeah, probably does snuff for medical reasons. He doesn't just eat, but he's doing it's okay. No, we didn't hear anything about it. Don't you know about Rasa Leela? I know all about Rasa Leela. What do you want to know? What do you want to know about Rasa Leela? What do you want to know? Are you trying to say that Rasa Leela is gang rape? Is that what you're trying to say? He was worse than them all. See, this is their rape culture. Is Rasa Leela, Balaram, attacking the Jamuna, Krishna raping the hunchback woman, all kinds of things, and where in their culture it's like you can just have sex with a woman, it's okay, by force, it's okay, it's not a problem, even if she complains, even if she, it's just like Prabhupada said, women like that. Women like to be raped. You think Prabhupada was the only man in India that was running around thinking that women like to be raped? Do you think Prabhupada was the only one? You don't think that Prabhupada's godbrothers believed the same thing that Prabhupada believed? And Prabhupada's godbrothers that Bhakti Siddhanta didn't believe? You don't think Bhakti Siddhanta didn't believe that women like to be raped and are 9 times lustier than men? And all of these things, and never trust a woman, and there's 3 things you can beat: a woman, a drum, and a dog. Now, see, all this stuff is coming from scriptures that Prabhupada read and lived and breathed and put into his books. Prabhupada's not making this stuff up. He's getting it from Chanakya Pandit and Vyasadeva and Bhagavad Gita. And he's just churning, the mind is churning with all his disgusting, sick thoughts. Irrelevant questions, with all due respect. They're trying to fit in, trying to get into it, I don't know what's going on. No facts to back anything up except Guru is not ordinary human. Yeah, now, so that's what it says in the books, right? Guru is not ordinary human. He's descending. He's coming from the spiritual world. He descends, and he comes at his own whatever. He's not an ordinary human. All this stuff. So you believe that about this guy? You believe that about this guy? So ISKCON wants me to believe all that stuff that's in the scriptures about the guru and the guru this and the guru that. They want me to believe that they're talking about this guy. This guy that went to Harvard. This guy's sitting there like he's Mr. Brainiac. Like he's going to sit there and teach something. He's going to teach something. He's going to tell us about Krishna's pastimes. He's going to tell us. He's an expert in Hindu mythology. No different than someone sitting there talking about Zeus and Poseidon and Mars and Apollo and Hercules and Achilles and Hector and all of that stuff. The Medusa and Apollonia, whatever, all that stuff. It's interesting stuff. I love that. When I was in school, when I was like 12, 13, I loved Greek mythology. It was one of my favorite classes. We had a book with all the stuff in there, and we'd read the stories, and then we'd talk about it, and we'd have to write little things about it and explain it. And I was fascinated with Greek mythology. The idea that these people way back 1,000 years ago, that they believed these stories. And there was a guy up in the cloud, and he had lightning bolts, and the guy in the water with all that stuff. I thought it was fascinating. I was 12, 13 years old. I thought it was fascinating stuff. I was like really into it. Like when you're 6 or 7, you're into dinosaurs, right? 5, 6, 7, you're into like dinosaurs and rocket ships, whatever. And then you get a little bit older. I was into mythology. I thought mythology was fascinating. And that's what this is. This is like he's sitting there trying to convince me that there's a Zeus with lightning bolts. No. It's Indra with lightning bolts. And he's gonna try and teach me that there's a Poseidon. No, it's not Poseidon, it's Varuna or whatever, or Varuna's the wind or whatever. So what's the difference? What's the difference between this guy sitting there talking about these different mythological, Hindu mythological people and stories and vibhutis and whatever, and lightning bolts and tornado demons and cart demons and whatever demons. There's no different than a guy sitting there talking about Greek mythology, which you can go listen to. You can go to a library and a guy will be sitting there reading from a Greek book, and you go, "Hey, God," and then you can have a little thing. It's no different. It's no enlightenment. I didn't get no special knowledge from the Greek mythology guy. He's not, I might learn. He might have some cool stories, like Aesop's fable. Might teach me about, sour grapes or something. Might have, some interesting little thing. And the moral of the story is, don't overreact, or don't be stupid. Whatever the moral of the story is. The Krishna story, they don't have no moral. The moral of the story is, if you listen to this story, you're going to go back to Godhead. That's the moral of every Krishna story. The cart demon story, where Krishna's a baby, they put him under the cart and the cart falls apart. And the moral of the story is, if you hear the story, you'll be liberated. Oh, so there's no meaning. So there's really no meaning to the story about Krishna putting Krishna under the cart and then the cart falls apart and Krishna's not hurt. There's really no moral to the story. It's just, if you hear the story, you're going to go back to Godhead. And Krishna got tied to the mortar. And when Mother Yashoda tried to tie the knot, the rope kept coming up short. And she kept adding to the rope, and it kept getting shorter. And it kept adding to the rope, and it was not getting any longer. And she kept adding and adding. And the moral of the story is, if you hear this story, you're going to go back to Godhead. Oh, okay, great, thanks. So I don't know what that all meant about the mortar and Krishna and stealing the butter, or whatever it is. The moral of the story is, you're going to go back to Godhead if you listen to this story. Oh, okay. There's no scientific evidence to back up this chanting, as they say. Where is it? There's no anything to back up anything. Indus, humongous. Just walk away. Does Greek mythology have a character like Krishna? You mean an oversexed guy who has an orgy with a bunch of little 11-year-old girls under the moonlight down by the river? Not that I can think of. No, sorry. I can't think of one. I don't know. I can't think of one. Nope. No oversexed kid that wants to have sex with a bunch of little girls down by the river. There's not one of those. Not that I can think of. If anybody knows of one in Greek mythology, of an oversexed god who wants to have sex with 108 little girls down by the river, you let me know. Okay? Because I don't know why Krishna having sex with a bunch of little girls turns these old men on so much. You get these grown men they just love hearing these stories about the Rasa Leela, where Krishna takes these little 11-year-old girls down by the river and has sex with them. Or Ramananda Roy rubbing his hands all over these little girls. I don't know why that turns these guys on so much. Hades. Yeah, I don't know why this turns these. It really does. It turns these guys on. In fact, Prabhupada says, he goes, don't just read the 10th canto. You got to do all this other stuff first because it's too heavy. So I don't know. I don't know what that's all about, man. Polygamous Krishna abusing all around him. Unfortunately, Prabhupada did not give this blue man a good reputation, and all lives ruined because of this blue man, Rasa Leela. Yeah, Indians know. Indians know Rasa Leela. They know what Rasa Leela is. They know what Krishna is. They know what it is. What was 11-year-old girl's name with Krishna? You know, I really don't know. I really don't care. I'm more interested in the 11-year-old girl that Prabhupada had sex with when he was 22 years old. Her name, I believe, was Radharani. I believe her name was Radharani. And Prabhupada had sex with her when she was 11 and he was 22. And so, Balnak, you think that that's good? You think that's good for Prabhupada that he had sex with an 11-year-old girl when he was 22? What do you think about that? You think that's good? Some academics have suggested. Read your books, bro. Yeah, so let's give it another spin, see where it's going to land this time. Dun, 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 and hey, Gaurahari Das. Okay, let's take a look at this guy. This guy. That's pedo. Yeah, I'm confused with you, Balnak. I think aren't pure devotees supposed to control and master their senses? They don't master their senses, nor do they control them. They just avoid women. They're not in control of anything. They just don't want to be around women. Why don't they want to be around women? Because they're out of control. If they were in control, they wouldn't give a fuck about being around a woman. Like me, I can be around women. I'm not gonna sexually abuse them. I'm not gonna attack them. I'm not gonna rape them. I'm not gonna touch them. I'm not gonna grab them. I'm not gonna do anything. I don't need to. I can go into a supermarket and stand in line and be surrounded by women in line, and the woman cashier, and there can be a woman behind me in line and a woman in front of me in line, and you know what? I'm perfectly fine. I don't freak out. I don't I don't go crazy. I don't start sweating. I don't get an erection. I'm not having like weird thoughts. I'm not like, I want to have sex with this woman. I just go about my day. I just go about my day. If I get on the bus and there's women on the bus, no big deal. If I'm in the store, no big deal. If I'm whatever, if I'm with my girlfriend and there's another woman around, it's no big deal. It's just no big deal. Why? Because I'm in control. I'm in control of my senses. Now, these other gurus, these guys dressed in orange, they can't do that. They can't go to the supermarket and stand in line with a bunch of women, right? They're going to be like, ooh. They can't even sit in a temple with female devotees around without them going, hey, I can't be around women. You got to stay away from me. I can't be around all these women, except unless you're Indra Yumna Swami or Hridayananda Goswami. You're one of these guys, then you have women around you. But most of these, Radhanath Swami and Devamrita Swami, I can't be around women because I'm a Swami and I'm in control of my senses. No, you're not. You're not in control. Sorry, dude, you're not in control. If you were in control, you could sit in a room full of women and you wouldn't give a fuck. You wouldn't give a fuck. But no, you're like, oh my God, women, and I gotta wear orange. I gotta wear orange to remind myself that I'm out of control if I get around women. I might go crazy. I'll lose my mind. Robert couldn't control his senses to be a sexual predator, manipulate and deceive others by ruining and controlling their lives. There is no excuse for such a guru of the world to be so disgusting. That's what I say. I say the same thing. The guy is disgusting. Sex with an 11-year-old girl when he was 22 years old, and then he's like, I really want to be a freaking cult leader, but a religious. I want to be a religious cult leader, but I had sex with an 11-year-old girl. And I was, well, you know what? Well, maybe it's Vedic. I'll just say it's Vedic, and then everything's cool. Well said. They're absolutely not controlling their senses, only avoiding women. Yeah, they're only avoiding women. They're not in control of anything. They're not in control of anything. They're just avoiding women because they hate women. They just hate women. Why do they hate women? Because Prabhupada said. Otherwise, they have no reason to hate women. They're hating women because Prabhupada says they hate women. The whole friggin' cult says to hate women. Absolutely. This. Let me see. Let's find this Gaurahari Das. This this guy. Oh man, this is gonna be something because this guy's a real one. So for those of you that don't know who Gaurahari is, well, let's see, what is it? You know, the Dasi cult. No, I don't know about that cult. I'm not familiar with that cult. Stop light. Okay, what's going on here with? Oh, it's a oh my goodness.
Hari Hari.
Come on, get it together.
Krishna, Radhe, 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 Radhe. Krishna, 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 Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna, 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 Krishna.
All right. Man, if that's not mental illness, I don't know what is. This guy's a total whack job. This guy, and I don't know who is more insane. I don't know who's more insane, him or the people that are following this guy, because they're just as wacky as he is. But I don't know if you know the story on this guy, but this guy was in ISKCON for a while. He was in ISKCON for a few years. I don't know. I'm not sure when. I'm not sure when. I'm not sure when he was in ISKCON. I think sometime in the '80s, maybe. And I don't know who his guru. I don't know who his guru is. I don't think it was Prabhupada. I don't think his guru was Prabhupada. Maybe. I really don't know. I really don't know. I know is It's really it's rough. It's hard. This one's hard. Krishna in a basement. Oh my god. He's blowing his nose. There's a snot rag. Snot rockets for Krishna. There's snot rockets for Krishna, man. It's funny as hell. Symptoms of spiritual ecstasy is just right in the middle of kirtan. You just blast some snot into a rag. Yeah, new symptoms. Yeah, that's the 27th. That's the 27th. What do you call it? Symptoms of a devotee is able to blast snot rockets in the middle of kirtan. So this guy says. So this guy was in ISKCON for a while. I don't know when or who his guru is. He wouldn't tell me. But he was in ISKCON for a few years. I was in ISKCON longer than him, and that's what I told him. I said, dude, I was in ISKCON longer than you. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You were in for like 4 years. I was in for 20. I don't know what. Who do you think you are? I was like, who? So this guy had a dream. This guy had a dream that probably came to him in a dream, and told him that he was doing the right thing and that he should teach Chaitanya Charitamrita and the higher stages of love of God. That he was doing the right. That Prabhupada told him in a dream that he was doing the right thing by teaching this higher stage of love of God with the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and that he should continue to do that. So then he became Srila Gaurahari Das, whatever, Gaurahari, whatever. Told him if he's so pure he can invent a new symptom. I know. he's like, Radhe, 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 Radhe. Like it's just he goes from laughing to crying to laughing to blowing snot rockets. Isn't this man a disciple of Narayan Maharaj? They all have dreams to save the world by their fraud gurus. Well, he said he was in ISKCON. So he may have, like, I guess maybe he joined ISKCON. He was in ISKCON for just a couple of years. He said like 3 or 4 years, I think. And then he may have went to Narayan Maharaj. That is what he may have done. But he definitely said that he had a dream, and Prabhupada came to him in a dream and told him that he needs to keep teaching the higher stages of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. And I talked to him. He wanted me to come live in his group, and I said, I'm not going live with you. I'm not going to do that. Mike, did you know Krishna Katha from Badger? Her youngest daughter committed suicide in 2014. She hung herself from a tree, the life of a fanatical. Wow, I did not know that. I did know Krishna Katha, and I did know her daughter. This is her daughter right here. I'll show you her daughter. Whoops. Oh, I guess I can't do that. That was her daughter there in the closing credits. I don't know how to get that up. I went to India with her. So I did know her. I spent 2 weeks. I spent 2 weeks. A week in Thailand and then a week in India with Krishna Kata and her daughter. Her daughter's name was Govinda, maybe. I don't remember, but I'm really sad to hear that she committed suicide. That was a long time ago. That was 2014. So her daughter was 16 when we went. She was 16 when we went to India, and that was in 96. So she would have been born in 80. So she would have been, she would have been 40, 50. She would have been 54 years old, right? Sundari, that was her name, Sundari. Yeah. Gaurahari Das, he's on heavy drugs. Yeah, he could be on drugs. Absolutely, he could be on drugs. If Prabhupada came to him in a dream and told him in a dream to be guru and to teach Chaitanya Charitamrita, then he's probably on drugs. I saw Krishna Chaitanya, eldest daughter Sundari. The one who committed suicide was her. Oh, her eldest daughter was Sundari. Oh, okay. So I didn't know her youngest daughter because she didn't have a youngest daughter, when I knew her. So I didn't know her youngest daughter. She didn't have a daughter. She had Sundari and she had some boys. She had like 2 or 3 boys, and the youngest one was the little boy, and he was like 5. He was like 5 or 6. And then there was another boy that was a little older, or I don't know. I don't remember the ages of the boys, but she said, I'm going to put them in the Gurukul when they're a little older. They're going to go in the Gurukul in Vrindavan. Now, and then I heard that Krishna Kata had passed away years ago, but I didn't know anything about this youngest daughter. So that's really sad. It's really sad. So many kids in this movement suffer because their parents are out of control and the parents are out of control. Krishna Kata was not. She was. I don't want to speak badly about. She was like Radha Kund. She was the perfect person for Radha Kund. Radha Kund and Krishna Kata were 2 peas in a pod. So Radha Kund was a pretty shady guy, and Krishna Kata was his partner. They were partners, and she had all these kids, and she was not the best role model for these kids, and Crazy World, you also knew her. Yeah, I went to India with her. I stayed at her house a couple times. Radha Kund was her boyfriend for years. So yeah, and I knew that. I drove to her place I drove like 2 times. I drove my car from LA to Badger to her place. And then there was another time when I went in someone else's car. So it was like probably 3 or 4 times for 4 trips or 5 trips I made up there. So yeah, I knew her. And then of course the trip to India, I knew her. We all traveled together. She was the one that was smuggling the meth into, and then she's the one that smuggled methamphetamine into Thailand from LA. What a story that is. What a story that is. she had so many children she barely could have them around. Yeah, she had a bunch of kids, and I know that she lived all over the place. She lived in Florida, she lived in Australia, she lived in Badger. I okay, so these are, yeah, the youngest one was named Thakur. Did you know Gaudadesh, Vana, Thakur, and Krishna? I absolutely met those kids. I remember Vana. I remember Thakur because I think he was the littler and wilder one. I don't remember these kids. Yeah, I remember 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess there was 4 of them, or maybe there might have only been 3 when this was back in 96, 96, 97, 95, 96, 97. So it may have just been 3 boys. I just don't I just don't remember. She passed away in a tragic way, leaving her children heartbroken, destroyed by the cult, and motherless. Yes, that's exactly what I heard. So this is what happened. I'll tell you what happened. In 96, Krishna Kata was living with Radhakund in Badger. And they'd been living together for a couple of years, maybe a year or two. They're living in Badger. And then my friend Bir Lakshman, who was also living in Badger for a while, he lived in LA and he also lived in Badger with Krishna Kata and Radhakund. So Bir Lakshman says, hey, let's all go to India. He's going to pay for it because he's got this crazy money he's got like disability crazy money. So he's got like all this money. He's got like a big thing of money. So he's like, let's all go to India because Krishna Kata was going to India. So we're all going. So now we're all going. So we were all going, and it's me and Bir Lakshman, Radhakunda and Krishna Kata. We go to India. We're in India for a couple of weeks. We're in Bangkok for a week, and then we're in Vrindavan for a week. And Bir Lakshman goes crazy. He wants to go home. He can't take it. He can't handle it. He goes mental, and he's like, I got to get out of here. Radhakund tells Krishna Kata, I'm staying in India. I'm not going home. And she freaks out. They got into this big fight, like in the middle of Loy Bazaar or somewhere. We were somewhere, and they get into this fight, and they split up. And she's telling him, you're an asshole. I paid for you to come here, and I did all this for you, and now you're just leaving me here. You're just gonna stay, and then they're having this big fight in Loy Bazaar or somewhere in Vrindavan, and they split up, and I go home with Bir Lakshman. We fly home, and then she flies home. And Radhakund stays in India, and he never leaves. And then he passed away. I heard he passed away from HIV sometime in 96 or 7, maybe. 96, 97, 98, somewhere around there. 96, 97, 98. And then I heard that like a year or 2 later, she passed away. And I don't know, I heard that she passed away from the same thing that Radhakund passed away from. That it was like AIDS or HIV or AIDS, or I don't know. I don't know. So I don't, that's all I know. But that's what I know. That's what I know happened. And then I knew it was tragic because I knew she had these kids. I knew she had these kids that were not grown up, that Yeah, that's a tragedy. But I didn't know anything about suicide, and I don't know what happened to the other boys. Krishna Kata and her husband Jagat Das raised their children in a very abusive, fanatical way. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I know I know that she was married to somebody and they lived in Australia and then they lived in Florida and then she moved to Badger. And then other than that, I don't know anything about her husband. I don't know anything. All I know is I met her when Radhakunda moved in with her and they were together for a couple of years. They'd wake up their kids at 3 a.m. to chant and drink milk with turmeric. Yeah, it was a weird house. Krishna Kata's house in Badger was a strange place, and from what I understood is she would be in her room for like 8 to 12 hours a day, just locked in her room, and I don't know. These Hare Krishnas are not the greatest parents. They're not the greatest. 3 a.m. worse than the army. I can't imagine growing up in that kind of environment where you're living a life like that. That's out of control. It's absolutely out of control. Yeah, they abuse their own children. They abuse. So you can imagine if they're treating their own children like that. You can imagine how they treat children in school that are not theirs. Just get up, wake up, chant, smacking them around, hitting them, beating them, yelling at them, mistreating them. Oh my goodness, because they're all grown now. So these were kids 30 years ago, which means they're like in their 30s and 40s now. Because that's what happens in time. Time just keeps going. They're not still little kids. I remember them being little kids. Now they're grown adults. Let's see. Gaurahari went to prison for 4 years. Wow, who knew? Who could have seen that coming, right? Growing up in the Hare Krishnas, your parents are like out of control, shady characters, mistreating you, making you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and drink turmeric and milk. And who would have thought that type of environment would lead someone to go to prison for 4 years? Thakur, he was the youngest, I think. He might not have been the youngest, or might have been a baby, but Thakur dated his underage stepdaughter. Who could have saw that? Who could have saw that coming? Krishna Das is still a devotee but hates women. Vaughn became a drug addict, but finally got married with kids. So I'm glad we're using their aliases and not their real names, because I would hate to put this out there, somebody's real name, and I don't know if this is true. But so I'm glad we don't know who these people are. I don't know their real names. So nobody knows their real names. This is just their aliases, their Krishna names. But it sounds like a good example of what happens to these kids that grow up in a Krishna household, with parents that are just like not there, parents that are traveling around selling books, not home, not taking care of their kids, putting their kids in a Gurukula. I don't know if they went to Gurukula or not, but just perfect example of what happens when you try to raise your kids in a spiritual environment, in a fake spiritual environment, Now I can understand you put your kids in a Catholic school. I'm not recommending you put your kids in a Catholic school, but I can understand that you kids go to a Catholic school, but I don't understand a Gurukula. That is not a school. That is just that's crazy. Well, let's get back to Gaurahari Das, because this guy was going nuts earlier with his chanting, and I wanted to hear him talk a little bit, but I guess I picked the wrong video. Let me see.
Addressed Krishna sitting in the golden cage. See, who witnessed Radha and Krishna's entire night passing. You see, she was very dear to Radha. That's the girlfriend. That's really, actually, in our line, that's Guru. Our line is supposed to be a gopi line. I mean, you know, you may have a male body, but if you're have that consciousness, you have that way of worship. Male or female doesn't matter. Body, that's all external, but you'll have that mood of worship. See, she was qualified because she was a girlfriend. You got to get the mercy. Basically, you got to be a girlfriend of Radha, and you become a girlfriend of Radha by being trained by a girlfriend of Radha.
So there you have it. He's explaining exactly what I was saying before, is that ultimately you want to become an 11-year-old gopi girl that has sex with Krishna. That's the goal of life. That's the ultimate. That's who you really are. Your real spiritual identity is an 11-year-old girl who Krishna takes in the rasa dance and has sex with you. That's the goal of life. Whether you're male or female, if you're a male, you can take birth as a gopi in the spiritual world. But if you're a female, you got to take birth as a male first, and then you can take birth as a gopi in the spiritual world. So he's telling you right there that that's the goal of life, is to become an 11-year-old girl that has sex with Krishna. So basically, it's a pedophile cult. It's all revolves around being a little girl, having sex with little girls, touching little girls this, little girls that. I don't know how else to explain it. If somebody out there's got a better explanation for it, then you tell me. You want to talk about Rasa Leela? You want to talk about gopis? You want to talk about self-realization, your spiritual form? You want to talk about going back to Godhead, going back to Goloka Vrindavan? You don't just go back to Goloka Vrindavan. You don't go as you. You don't go as a cowherd boy or whatever. You want to be a gopi, an 11-year-old gopi girl, and go back and dance with Krishna. And you get to kiss him, and he puts betel nut in your mouth, and you get his saliva and his betel nut, and you go into ecstasy. And the next thing you know, you're dancing down by the river. It's a full moon. And hey, you know how it is. You know how it is.
That's our disciplic line. Why? And why is Radha so important? Because she represents devotion. Without us having our dormant love for God or devotion, pure devotion awakened, we cannot understand Krishna. We'll just know the external thing. We'll be like the parrot, not the realized parrot. See, but like the parrot who just parrots material, parrots verses without any understanding.
Yeah, of course he's not parroting. He's not parroting anything. He really understands. He's not just repeating the bullshit. He's not the parrot. Just so you understand that he isn't the parrot repeating what he's heard. He's the self-realized parrot who actually knows, just so there's no confusion there. I don't want anybody to be confused.
See, do you ever see? Most people chant like parrots. If devotional love of God does not awaken when you're chanting, or some kind of taste, level of taste, of spirit taste, spiritual taste, then you're just like more or less like a parrot. You're still empty.
Yes, this is Trey. Trey brings up a good point. This is the result of raising children in this cult. So all this brainwashing that he's talking about, the parrots and the this and the that, and the gopi girls and self-realization and mantra and all this crap, all this brainwashing, all this bullshit, all this fakery and forgery and bogus bullshit guru crap. What happens? Well, this is the result of raising your children in this cult. The parents get so fucked up in their heads, they don't know what they're doing. They can't even raise their kids. They can't give their kids a proper education. The kids don't go to school. They go to some gurukula. They don't learn. They don't learn what they need to be a productive, successful, functioning person in society. No, they learn how to be a fucking crazed mental patient in a pedophile cult. That's what they can do. Playing a friggin' drum and chinging a ching-chings and selling books on the street. That's all they can do. And sit there and listen to a guy like this babble on about bullshit.
Your dormant love of God hasn't awakened. That's what we
What
do.
in
That's our
God's
mission.
holy name are you blathering about?
Awaken us so that people
Awaken this and awaken that. You're dormant this, you're dormant that. What the fuck are you blithering on about? Yes, these are real stories to prove that raising your kids in this cult will destroy them. It'll destroy it. Nothing good comes from children in this cult. Absolutely nothing. Nothing comes. Your head is, when your adult's head is so messed up, you think you got to wake your kid up at 3 o'clock in the morning so he can drink milk and turmeric, and then start chanting some friggin' mantra. That's what your kid needs to do. Your kid needs to be in bed, sleep, and get up and go to school, get up and go play, go be a kid. You know, raise your kid to be a freak. Seriously, raise your kid to be a freak. They can't function with other kids, normal kids. They can only be around. When my daughter got into public school, she couldn't deal with normal kids because they were just normal kids. You know, they weren't like devotee kids. At first, for me, it was like, yeah, they're not nice kids. They're just normal. They're karmi kids. That's what I thought. I was brainwashed. I'm like, they're karmi kids. No, they're just normal kids. They're normal kids that are playing, they're teasing, they're having fun, they're making jokes. It's not a big deal. It's just public school. It wasn't like the Warriors. It wasn't concrete jungle. She was in 6th grade. 5th grade, 6th grade. Wasn't, but she didn't know how. She'd spent the last 5 years in a day school at the LA Temple. She didn't know how to deal with kids that were not devotees, that, you know, would joke around and tease and make fun and just be normal kids. She didn't know how to. It took her a while. She'd come home. She'd say, these kids are so mean. These kids are not nice. These kids are this and that. And after a while, after a couple of months, that ended. She became a normal kid. It was like she was having fun, running around, doing whatever. It was no problem anymore. First couple of weeks, she had a problem because she didn't know how to deal with normal everyday behavior. She was used to going into the Gurukul with Jaganambika was the teacher, and they'd say their prayers or whatever. They'd all bow down, offer obeisances, and then they'd say prayers. They'd read Bhagavad Gita. She had them all under control. Now she's in a public school where kids are running around and yelling and screaming. She didn't know what she wasn't used to that. These kids don't know how to function. Don't know how to go get a job. They don't go to school. They don't know how to get a job. All they know how to do is beg with books. It's really sad. It's really sad that a young child takes their life. I mean, adults. It's sad when adults take their lives, but I come in on a 50-year-old man decides he doesn't want to, deal with his diagnosis of whatever he's got or whatever, he's tired or whatever it is, and he decides he wants to take his own life. That's That's a grown man. But a young child hasn't even started out in their life. I don't know how old her youngest was in 2014. But I can't imagine that they were that old. Because I maybe a young adult, maybe in her 20s, if she was that old, in her 20s. But all of her kids, all of these kids, so many of these kids, these Krishna kids, I seen a bunch of them at the LA temple running around, living practically homeless, living in a van, living in a trailer, living in a camper. A bunch of kids just look like homeless kids, but they were Krishna kids, but they just ran around like I don't know where they lived or who they were with. They're just a bunch of like almost like delinquents. So yeah, raising kids in a cult is always going to be I can't imagine. But yeah, parents that are listening to this guy or listening to this crap, having their heads filled with this nonsense, and then trying to raise kids based on that nonsense, based on the shit you're reading in these books, this is a recipe for disaster. It's amazing that any of these kids survive and have a normal, healthy life. I mean, when I hear of one, it's like we should celebrate that they made it through and have a normal life. There were a couple at the temple, grown kids that appeared to have a job, a career, something going on. There were one or two that I came across, but most of them not. Most of them not at all. Self-realized. And this guy is a big scammer. This guy's a big scammer because he just comes out and just goes, "Hey, I'm a guru. I'm Gaurahari Das. I can teach you higher levels, and I could do what he's doing. I mean, we could all do what he's doing. I'm nothing special, but I could do what he's doing. Sit there and read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, pretend to chant and cry and be in ecstasy, and then talk about Lord Chaitanya's pastimes and the Jagannath festival and meeting Haridas Thakur and meeting the Goswamis and debating the Buddhists and marching to the Qazi's house and the story of Sakshi Gopal and all of those things. I could sit there and I could read them out of the book and then read the purport and then give a class and talk about some stupid thing. Try to tie it into whatever Prabhupada said in the thing. That's not hard to do. With some practice, you can get good at it. You do it enough times, you get pretty good at it. And if you have some kind of charisma, some kind of, little, that makes it that much better. Makes it that much better. And this guy's gonna sit there and, I look at this guy and I go, who the fuck are you, man? You're not even cosplaying correctly. Like, you don't even have the cosplay uniform on. Like, you can't even put the cosplay costume on and you want to play the part. You want to be the guru without even wearing the costume. Like, you really have no clothes. You're really the emperor with no clothes because you won't even cosplay. At least Harvard Swami, at least he puts on a dhoti and some tilak. He's got the flowers around his neck. At least he's cosplaying correctly. This Gaurahari guy, he can't even cosplay like a real devotee. He's like, I'm too cool. He's too cool he's too cool to count. So he doesn't chant rounds because he's too cool for counting. He's too cool to wear a dhoti and shave his head and have a tilak. He's definitely got the Narayan Maharaj beard and goatee and beard. So he's definitely got that. So he could be Narayan Maharaj, but he doesn't even cosplay correctly. So I don't even know what that's all about. But he wants to be hip. He just wants to be the hip guru. I think he's like I'm Mr. Cool Guru. I got no rules. Hey, there's no rules. There's no, I don't require anything. It's just I'm too hip guru. I'm the too hip guru.
Listen, I'm probably the hippest guy around here. I got a house full of strangers. I got cats, I got dogs, I got pot, I got acid, I got LSD cubes. Don't tell me about hip. I am so hip, it hurts. That's how hip I am.
Yeah, he's just too hip. He's just too hip guru. I'm too hip. I'm too hip for a temple. Like, I don't even need to sit in a temple. I can just sit in my basement, and I can chant, and I can teach you all right here, live streaming. I don't need any. You don't need any of that. For sure, they get good at it because it's easy and they practice. It's just a show with pretense. Yeah. It's put on a show. It's put on a show, and they practice it. And then what happens is they give a lecture. They give a couple lectures, and they get away with it. Like nothing happened. It's successful. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that was a good lecture." And it's like, "Oh, well, that was easy. Well, I can do this." And then it's easy street after there. This is like, hey, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. Like for me, I've never done that. I've never given a lecture or anything. But I know that after the first time, if I was to sit down and pretend I was Gaurahari Das, and I was to sit down and do, I'm going to read from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and I'm going to do that. The first time, I'd probably be a little nervous. But then after that, I'm on easy street. It's no problem. It is no problem at all. He is the hip guru crying in ecstasy about what exactly? Well, he's crying because he's feeling those ecstatic symptoms of love of God. And one of the symptoms of love of God is shedding tears. Crying uncontrollably is one of the symptoms. Laughing uncontrollably is one of the symptoms. Just being a big jerk is, I guess, another symptom. I don't know. He cries and cries from his drug overdose. Yeah, he's just too hip. He is just too hip. Cool hip. I'm a dude guru, verbal diarrhea. Yeah, he's just so cool. He doesn't even need to be guru. He's just like he's above guru. See, but I say I'm even more of a guru than him because he needed Prabhupada to come in a dream and tell him that he's a guru. And I don't even need Prabhupada to tell me I'm a guru. I'm just totally self-effulgent. I'm so self-effulgent that I don't even need Prabhupada to come in a dream. I don't need anybody to come in a dream. I don't even need Krishna to come in a dream. I'm so self-effulgent, I'm just, boop, I'm here. Sri Mukunda, here I am. You know how stupid this guy is? You need a dream. You're a dreamer pod. You're a Bhakti dreamer pod. But I don't need a dream. I'm Sri Mukunda, and I'm just Sri Mukunda without a dream. Man without a dream. Guru, ego guru, look at his eyes. He thinks he's God. He thinks he's definitely got a bunch of followers that call him Guru Dev and Maharaj. And so that goes to your head. if I was to sit here and I had a bunch of people coming in and I was giving a class like, we're not going to read from Chaitanya Charitamrita and it's, blah, 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 blah. And I'm doing all that and people are calling me Guru Dev and Guru Maharaj and offering me obeisances and telling me how great I am. That goes to your head. And that shit goes to your head. I mean, even these ISKCON gurus have said that shit goes to your head. So but we don't even need to be told that. We don't need to be told that. It's common sense. If you had someone around that was people surrounding yourself with people that are worshiping you, treating you like you're God. I mean, all I have to do is go to work and have everybody be nice to me because it's my birthday, and I start to get a big head. Everybody's like, "Hey, Mike, it's your birthday. Happy birthday!" And they're giving me presents, and there's cake. Hey, there's cake in the break room, and we're gonna have pizza. And hey, we all chipped in, and we got you this card, and so and so got you this little gift. And I'd be like, "Wow, man, that's like everybody likes me. That's pretty, and that's just an ordinary birthday at work. So you can imagine if you're trying to be this guru teacher guy and you got like 14 people in your Zoom meeting and they're all telling you that you're Guru Dev and you're Swamiji, calling you Swamiji and Guru Dev and Maharaj and all of this stuff. You guys are fucking out of his mind. You gotta be out of his mind with all this adulation going on in his head, thinking that he's really something. You just start believing it. He's going to start believing these freaks that are telling he's a freak that's believing these other freaks that are telling him that he's some kind of fucking guru god guy. There's a guru man complex. God man complex. I'm a God man. I'm a holy man. Why are you a holy man? You gotta be kidding me. He thinks he's a big shot like Prabhupada and all his disciples are special cases. His disciples are nuts. His disciples are certified. They're more nuts than him. This guy is a real fucking freak and his disciples are even freakier. He's the special ed. He's special ed guru. Oh, that's funny. He's like, yo, you chant and then you'll know. You chant and then you'll know. What is he smoking? It can't be weed. I don't know. Maybe he's snorting something like Prabhupada was doing. What makes it worse is all the adoration from the followers feeling so special and sensing the dude's far out spiritual qualities. Yeah, this guy is something else, man. This guy is really something else, and it just shows you how these Krishna cults, like, it doesn't even have to be ISKCON. It doesn't have to be ISKCON. He's scamming, like he's not part of ISKCON, so he's not really connected. Well, he's connected with Prabhupada's books. He reads Prabhupada's books and he preaches from Prabhupada's books, so he's connected to Prabhupada in that way. But he's not part of ISKCON, so. I don't know what's going on as far as that goes, but he's spreading this pedophilia stuff that's in Prabhupada's books. Bottom line. So in one sense, he's got his own issues. He thinks he's a guru. He's scamming these people. He's high on his own supply of I'm a self-realized guru guy. That's a whole issue in itself. The mental illness that he has, thinking he's a guru and thinking that he's teaching somebody something. That's a whole delirium on its own. Then you've got, what is it that he's teaching? He's teaching from Prabhupada's books. So that's secondhand pedophilia right there. So he's guilty of that too. I ain't gonna excuse him. I ain't gonna excuse him of that. You're using Prabhupada's books. You're a secondhand pedophile as far as I'm concerned. The dream thing is him saying he was chosen. Yeah. Prabhupada came to him in a dream. Yeah, absolutely. He's a chosen one. Prabhupada came to him in a dream. Like What other gurus can Sri Dayananda say that Prabhupada came to him in a dream? No. Sri Dayananda says that Prabhupada wrote a July 9th letter, and that made him a guru. Does Jayapataka say that Prabhupada came to him in a dream? No. Jayapataka says Prabhupada made him a guru on the July 11th letter. Does Lokanath Swami say that Prabhupada came to him in a dream? No. Lokanath Swami says that he became a guru when he was initiated and given the guru position by whoever gave it to him, his Kirtanananda or whoever it was. Radhanath Swami. Does Radhanath say that Prabhupada came to him in a dream? No. Radhanath says that he got the renounced order of life from Kirtanananda. So none of the ISKCON gurus can claim that Prabhupada came to them in a dream. No. Prabhupada came to him in a dream. Prabhupada chose him to appear in a dream and make him the guru. He's better than all the ISKCON gurus because they were just appointed on a letter or appointed by someone else. Prabhupada actually came to him in a dream and said, "You are the one." But I'm even better than him because I don't need Prabhupada to come to me in a dream. I already know that I'm the one. Why does the one need someone else? That makes two. It took two. It took him and Prabhupada to make him the one. I don't need anyone else. I'm already just the one. I'm the one. I'm way better than him. He needed Prabhupada to tell him. I don't need Prabhupada to tell me. I'm not dependent. I'm not dependent on Prabhupada. I can sit here and do this all on my own. I don't need anyone to ordain me to be Mike. Yeah, absolutely. Prabhupada chose him, and that's what he can say. He can say that to his disciples and say, Prabhupada came to me in a dream. Prabhupada came to me. I didn't come to Prabhupada in a dream. Prabhupada came to me in a dream. The dude is high as a kite from delusions of grandeur like his Prabhupada demon guru. The guy, absolutely, man. I think he's definitely got, he's definitely affected by this. I think gurus' egos are the size of Mount Everest, each one of them. Yeah, and this guy too. And this guy too. And he kept wanting me to come on his show. He's like, "Come on, Mike. Come on, come on and we'll talk on here. We'll talk on here." I got nothing to say to you. Because once I start talking about how you're a fraud and you're a scammer, you're gonna cut me off. I already know. Why you're gonna cut me off? Why are you eating their own vomit? The guy is. Every single person I know who was either raised in the cult or joined at a young age have deep wounds and trauma of all kinds. Not one child raised in Prabhupada's evil cult. Yeah, Jeff. I have to agree. Everyone that I've ever met in ISKCON, the children that grew up in it, had issues one way or another. My daughter, I'm not going to say my daughter was raised in ISKCON. She went to the school. We were in the community. She didn't ever lived in the community. When she was in the school, we were outside the community. We went into the community. That's why it was so devastating when she was molested, because it wasn't like we were living there and she wasn't in the boarding school. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like that at all. So, but every kid that I ever met, adult kid, or even the kids that were younger, had issues. They all have issues. They all have issues. And that's why when I watch these videos of these young couples with their little babies, the little kids, and they're in Vrindavan, and they're like, we got our baby, and we're raising our baby to be devotees. Wee! And they're pushing their little kids around the stroller in Vrindavan. And I'm just like, yeah, that kid is going to have so many problems. Whether you put that kid in the Gurukul or not, that kid is going to have so many problems. It's going to have problems. And if it's a girl and she reaches age 11, 12, 13, they're going to come for your daughter. Hey, we want you. You ever thought about your daughter being the wife of my 37-year-old creepy ass son who's looking for a 13-year-old girl or 11-year-old girl? How crazy is that? How crazy is that? How crazy is it that this lady is just sitting in Mayapur she's probably sitting in the restaurant in Mayapur, right? She's sitting in the Govinda's restaurant or the MVT or wherever she's sitting in the restaurant. And this lady walks up and says, hey, your daughter is very beautiful. Would you consider her a match for my 37-year-old son? Oh, what? You want to traffic my 11-year-old daughter? You want to traffic my 11-year-old daughter to your 37-year-old creepy-ass son? At least the lady was right, and she got up and she took her kids and she hightailed it the fuck out of there. She said, I got to get my kids out of here. The father's talking about, oh, girls don't need an education. They just need to learn how to cook and clean. Exactly what I was saying. She heard it from her husband talking about her daughters. She said, I'm out of here. She said, this is crazy. She's probably thinking, how did I get in this thing in the first place? Like, nobody told me about this. I guarantee you, if they had told her on day one, hey, we want your 11-year-old, 13-year-old daughters for these old men, she would have said, I'm not joining your fucking cult. But when she figured it out, she connected the dots. She connected the fucking dots, like I said. The fucking dot hit her in the head. That's how big the fucking dot was. Dot went whack. She said, they're coming for my daughter. She said, my daughter's not even safe around her father. My own husband wants to traffic my daughter to some old man. It's friggin' crazy. That's the craziest thing. That's one of the craziest things. Look, the lady getting raped behind the girl getting raped behind the stage at the festival is pretty out there. Okay, I don't know if that'll ever be topped. Okay, but this is so many, and now tonight I hear the Krishna Kata, this woman that I knew, her daughter, her youngest daughter, committed suicide. That's a whole nother person. It's a whole nother person. It's someone that I knew. Or someone that I knew's daughter. It's like another one. It's like another notch in my belt that I don't want. It was bad enough when I heard that Radha Kunda passed away, and then I heard that Krishna Kata passed away, and I heard that she left these kids with motherless kids because they weren't I don't know how old they were when she passed away. They were probably young adults, but I guess there were some young ones that weren't, adults yet. And one commits suicide. And I don't even know what kind of life she must have had to commit suicide. I mean, I don't even know what kind of life she must have had. I guess growing up in Badger or in a Gurukul, she may have been in the Mayapur Gurukul for girls, or in a Badger school, or maybe no school. Who knows? I mean, I don't know. Somebody knows. But I'm shocked that I find out another connection that I have, someone that I knew, someone that I knew, that I traveled with, I stayed at her house. It's just another unnecessary death of a child that grew up in this cult. It didn't need it. It didn't need this. The girl in New Zealand or wherever she was, and she joined and then she left, and she looked like she went through, like a train hit her. She didn't need it either. She didn't deserve that. I'm glad she got out. And I hope that some of you that are watching, I hope you can get out. I hope you can get out too. You can see how crazy these people are. Nothing good comes of this stuff. I know it seems like it's all chanting and dancing, Hare Krishna, but it ain't. Man. So I'm gonna end it here. This has been a really good wheel of idiot. I learned a lot. I had no idea that there was another death in this thing. It is heartbreaking. It's good kids. These children don't deserve this. These children don't deserve this. And all of Krishna Katha's kids, they didn't deserve any of that. She didn't deserve it. She didn't deserve to be manipulated into this cult. Radha Kuna didn't deserve to be manipulated. Well, I mean, I don't know. No, he didn't deserve to be manipulated into this cult. And these kids are always the victims. They always suffer the most. So they were all awesome as children, but the parents were just too into it. Fanatics who wanted to live their lives according to Prabhupada's teachings. I knew Krishna Katha. Now, I didn't know her that well, but I knew, you travel with someone, you know them. I traveled to India with her, and she was a nice woman. I mean, she treated me nice. She was a nice person. But she was not following four regulative principles. She was following the principles that she wanted to follow when she wanted to follow them. And when she didn't want to follow them, she didn't follow them. And that goes for just about every Hare Krishna I've ever met. They follow them when they want to, and they don't follow them when they don't want to. So Krishna Katha, they can be fanatical when they're raising their kids. Oh, you got to get up at 3 o'clock and drink turmeric with milk and then chant for an hour and all this. Meanwhile, she goes in their bedroom and she's doing who knows what. Who knows what she's putting up her nose or in her body. And spending 12 hours, 16 hours a day locked in her bedroom. And then when she's not locked in her bedroom, she wants to act like she's following Prabhupada's teachings and stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. It's all emperor's new clothes. It's all fanatic. It's all bullshit. Nobody's really following. Even the ones that are following aren't really following. Look at Trivikram. Having sex with his 35-year-old disciple. He's been hiding it for 6 months. And I mean, if you're keeping score, man, I don't know. You're going to run out of scorecard. You're going to run out of scorecard. Gaurahari is the next Trivikram Swami. I think Gaurahari is, you know, he doesn't follow regular principles. He can do whatever he wants. He can have sex with his disciples. He can get intoxicated. He can do whatever he wants. Prabhupada came to him in a dream. So all bets are off then. Hey, I want to thank you guys. I want to thank all of you for joining in today. I know we're really getting to the Hare Krishnas. I know a lot of Hare Krishnas are watching, and I think we get through to a few of them, and they will eventually join in, and they'll start joining in with the chat, and we'll bring them around. I'm convinced. I think we got something really good going here. It's not just me anymore. It used to just be me by myself talking, and now I've got you guys that are coming in and joining in. You're presenting information and news and background and filling in gaps. I think it's great. And we'll keep it going. And I think we can really make something out of this, and we can really help. These people that are in the Hare Krishnas. Yeah, it is bad news. It's bad news for everybody. It's really kind of sad, and I'm sorry to hear that. Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Trey. Everybody, Rafael. Everybody who's here. Thanks for joining in. I really love it. I like getting information that I wouldn't normally have. So thanks again, everyone. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please hit the like button. Please like, share, and subscribe. And remember, I'm on Substack, so if you can subscribe to my Substack, that'd be great. Because then, if you subscribe to my Substack, then it'll push my Substacks out to people in Substack, and then they'll be able to see what's going on too. So, exposure is the name of the game. So if you can help out with that way, that'd be great. So thanks, everybody. I'll be back again. We'll do some more. I'll do some more research, and I'll bring you more updates. So thanks for joining in. Everybody have a great day, great morning, great afternoon, a great evening. Have some great luck, and please stay out of a cult. And now, once again, you can enjoy seeing me as a Hare Krishna, and all you Hare Krishnas out there that don't believe that I'm Sri Mukunda, you can see me here as I cosplay as Sri Mukunda right here. Thanks, everybody.